A lot of us and a lot of parents right now are watching really closely what's happening with our kids over the first couple of weeks of school, how they're doing, how they're adjusting, where they're at. And sometimes your children have difficulties, sometimes even dyslexia comes into the mix. Joining us from Heritage Academy, the Vice Principal, Derek Rhodenizer, great to have you here. And just to kind of put the umbrella on, it's actually Dyslexia Awareness Month. So it's a great way to be able to bring this in. Heritage Academy is really a school that is geared towards children that are dealing with dyslexia.
Right, our main focus is students with dyslexia. We teach students from grades 1 through to 12, and then we follow the Ontario curriculum, and we have nice small classes, 1 to 10 ratio in each class.
This is really an interesting learning disability for a lot of people. Can you give us a better understanding of what it actually is?
It's an interesting one. It's one that's misunderstood. A lot of people know that dyslexia letters are flipped, and that is part of it, but there's a lot more to it. And it's a sliding scale, so you can be affected a small amount or can affected a large amount. So it's a matter of decoding words, and it's a challenge in learning that language and decoding that language. But it can also manifest itself in other ways with organization and that sort of thing as well. One thing that people forget about is the advantage that dyslexics have. They tend to be great creative thinkers and great big picture thinkers, even though reading is a bit of a challenge.
They see things more in a visual way, but how intimidating can it be for them to look at a page and literally, you were saying, it's like they can see letters jumping off the page.
Right, and like we talked about before, there really is, less severe, more severe, and I've had a 8-year-old girl trying to catch letters that were jumping off the page, which is just heartbreaking. And sometimes it's more just a bit of a challenge with B's and D's that flipped and that sort of thing.
I think that's what most people think of when they think dyslexia, right? They think that the letters are just backwards or they're flipped in order.
Right.
And it can go much more extreme.
Yes.
So how do you then tailor it? Like what kind of tools are being used then for students to be able to help them, be able to progress with their peers? So
the founder of our school developed a program called SMT, Simultaneous Multisensory Teaching, which is a one-on-one teaching with students, basically a re-education of how to read, the rules of reading for someone who is dyslexic. So that's the one-on-one program that we do outside of the school hours. But on top of that, we use those concepts in the classroom itself. So white paper with black printing is a real problem for dyslexics, the contrast of it. So everything we have is on cream paper, for example. We have all sorts of things like that we do.
So even the color differentiating can work with it. It's not actually recognized. It was one of the things that I was reading about by some of the school boards. It's not actually listed as a check mark on some of the learning disabilities.
That's right. So people will recognize reading disabilities or writing disabilities, but dyslexia is not always seen, in its pure form. So it's something that we'd like to bring awareness to, as it is the month, of what specifically affects a dyslexic person. Because while it is the reading, it can also be spatial organization. So dyslexic people often tend to have a hard time reading maps, have a hard time staying organized. So there are characteristics specifically to dyslexia that aren't recognized when you say reading disability.
How then can people, I'm looking at it from a parent's perspective, but how does one get diagnosed with dyslexia? Where do they go right now if they're thinking, this is me?
Right. Well, certainly they can give us a call, and we're open to chat with anybody that has some questions, and we can point them in different directions. The Canadian Dyslexic Association is also based here in Ottawa, and they can help as well.
So just make an appointment, go in for screening, go in for testing, and then that's how the process pretty much starts?
That's right, yeah.
All right, and Heritage Academy, where are you guys located?
We're on 207 Bayswater Avenue.
And it's really right from early years right through until high school?
Right through, yeah, grade 1 right through 12.
What is the response from students when they're done to say this really, for probably a lot of people, saved them?
I think that we provide a service that isn't available in a lot of places and does support some students that really need it. And we definitely, we graduate some students that feel a lot more confident than previously. And
just really quickly, these are smart kids. This isn't, there's a lot of opportunity there, right? It's just a matter of training the brain the proper way.
Right, it's a learning difference more than anything else. Instead of learning in a traditional textbook way, learning in a more hands-on way works for them. And we're talking about super creative, super bright individuals that have a hard time with reading.
Interesting information. It is Dyslexia Awareness Month. There is some help available, and of course there's a school that actually caters to dyslexic students, Heritage Academy. Derek is the vice principal there. Great to meet you. Thanks for the information.